Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light, and this is my podcast. Of course, I have Rob with me today. Hello, Rob.
Hello, how are you?
I'm simply marvelous.
Oh dear.
How are you?
At the moment, I'm absolutely fuming.
Are you?
Yeah, because my lovely 12-year-old daughter has messed my YouTube up and I could throttle her.
Kids.
Do you know when you have to keep signing in and it won't work? She won't
Yes.
accept your password.
Yes.
That's the kind of fuming that I am.
Oh, that's the worst kind. Kids, you can't live with them and you can't eat them.
All right, be finding out whether you can or not soon.
Well, make yourself a new password, Rob.
Yeah, I'm doing that, but it's really during the beginning of a podcast isn't really the time to start doing that.
Well, no, but yeah. I'll help you later if you need to. Okay. The reason we're here today is to talk about the 31 Days of Halloween. Is that right, Rob?
It certainly is.
So I'm going to start off by saying this. During this podcast, you will find out who the winner of the Amazon gift card is. Also, I would like to really thank every single person who helped with the channel, who sent in stories, who did guest appearances, and for everybody who showed up and listened and left comments and gave their thumbs up. Everybody, I'd like to thank you so much. I think that this was my favorite 31 Days of Halloween, and which is interesting because it was also a very bad month for me. But I really appreciate your kindness. Really appreciate you supporting this channel. I know Rob does too, and Rob has done a lot for me this month to help me out because occasionally it was a struggle, and I'd like to thank you too, Rob.
It's fine. You don't have to thank me. I enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you. So, before we get started, we're going to talk today about which one was our favorite video. It's hard to narrow down a favorite video, so we're going to talk about, some of the ones we liked best. We're going to discuss those. We're going to just talk about, everything that had to do with the 31 Days of Halloween. And I have to say that YouTube messed up what every video has in common about 4 days before the end of October. And so now you have 25, 26 things that videos had in common. I mean, I did one. It was my bad. It was my mistake. I admit it. But the other ones, they messed up my thumbnails. They messed up the times that they were released. It was a little bit crazy. But thank you guys for still hanging in there and supporting us. I appreciate it. So I'm going to start off by saying that on October 1st, naturally, now I have some videos already in the queue, but I hadn't been feeling well. And so I was not. Somebody's doing insulin right now.
Try to do it quietly.
So I, was having a hard time kind of getting motivated. Well, on October 1st, I was admitted to the ICU. And I was put in an isolation unit, and which was away from all the other patients, and all my caregivers had to kind of sort of dress like they do in ET when they figure out that ET's in the closet.
In the closet.
He was hiding in the closet.
Oh, sorry.
He was hiding in the closet. And E.T. never comes out of the closet, you guys. I'm not spoiling anything. Anyway, well, the people who brought my food weren't allowed to come into my room. I wasn't. They wouldn't even come in and clean my room. So what happens is I had a third generation antibiotic resistant bacteria, and I was septic, and I had double kidney infection, and so that's how my month started off.
No wonder you were ill if you had to clean your own room.
Oh, I didn't clean the room. They did get in trouble finally. They were told get in there, but yeah, and get your hazmat suit on and get in there. So luckily they did let my husband stay with me, which was kind of them, because I know a lot of people have been sick in the last 8-9 months, and they haven't been able to have the luxury of having loved ones in with them, or had babies and had to do it alone. So I am grateful that they did allow my husband. He was on lockdown though. He wasn't really allowed to leave, but it was okay. And so I was eventually released from the hospital to my home, which had to be completely disinfected every time I touched anything. And I got my own nurse and was on IVs, IV medications. And so that was for 3 weeks. And now I'm on. Huh?
You wouldn't let me chat her up. There you go.
I wouldn't let you chat me up.
Oh, you nurse.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. He really, really wanted to talk to my nurse. She was very kind. She became part of the family. So, and now I'm on some very, very strong medications to that kills the bacteria as it tries to form, which could be better. But I worked all through that. I know my nurse thinks I'm a nut job, because as I've shown Rob, I don't keep the list of my videos on my phone or anything. I write them down on a notepad. So there's things like worst serial killers and, haunted necklaces and, stuff like that. And so I'm sure that although she did get to hear, some of my work. But that was going on behind the scenes for me. Rob was a huge support for me. He always says, you need me to do something, I'll do something. As you notice, my kids came out of the woodwork to help me. And then, of course, I had the people who sent in their own stories, and that was a huge help. So I really I can't express to you guys how much I appreciated your feedback, your thumbs up, your comments. You're just, I just love this community. And it made me it made it much easier to get through the 31 days of Halloween, knowing that you guys are so supportive, and Rob, of course, is extremely supportive and willing to do anything that he can help. So, thank you, and I'm alive.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm in a stupid mood. I'm sorry. I watched Police Academy last night.
Well, I'm going to say I'm alive because I think they will stop monetizing anything if I just say I'm dead. It wasn't hardly monetizing anything at all. So, I got to keep those 2 pennies a year coming in. Anyway, so and like I said, even though it was sort of like a roller coaster, I loved this 31 Days of Halloween. I really enjoyed it. So, what did you think of it, Rob?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit nerve-wracking, because obviously not knowing how you were going to be, whether you're going to be able to, were we actually going to be able to do it? So yeah, but looking back now it's done, I suppose I'm looking back with a sort of certain relief that it's done. But I have enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because at one point we decided that maybe we were going to save the second half of Halloween for November.
Yeah.
Welcome to October Part 2. And of course, I, talked to Rob while I was at the hospital. Of course, and sent him a message and said, because what happened was I got a blood test and they said, you need to go to the emergency room right now. And so I called Rob going, it's the 1st of October. What am I going to do? They're going to admit me. A little bit of a freak out, but it came together. And I thought I enjoyed the topics. I enjoyed the stories that were sent in. I enjoyed interacting with the comments, and I liked I liked my kids stepped up. And Jory and I were supposed to do a podcast together. He ended up doing the Skinwalkers by himself, which he did a great job on. And I appreciated that, of course. But it literally came down to the last 2 days of October that we finally got it done. So, yes! Victory is mine. So, what do you think your favorite topics were, Rob? Besides the one you picked.
Favorite topics. Well, I like all the spooky ones.
Mm-hmm.
More so than I do like the serial killer ones and everything like that. But I like the spooky ones, especially I think my favourite has got to be and I do want to do a podcast on this at some point, like a full podcast. The graves, famous graves. Where the graves are of the famous people, I should say.
Oh, you like that?
That was really eye-opening to me because I didn't explain. You said that people will take tours and go round looking at graveyards.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I just would never have thought that because I thought, well, if I wanted to do that in New Orleans, say, people would think I was a weirdo.
Yeah, no.
But apparently not.
No. Yeah. Oh, I like doing that. I liked that too. Another one I liked was first off, I loved how Jory ended up doing the Skinwalker stories. I thought I know which one is the real one, by the way. So for those of you who are wondering, the real Skinwalker story is the first one. His best friend Andy and his family, which are great. So if you guys go listen, know that two of those he wrote himself, which was great, and one of those was about a true story about his friend's experience with skinwalkers. And it was in an area very, very close to Fire in the Sky. I mean, real close. Like, almost just, like next door. Very close. So, I liked that. Is there another one you liked?
Well, funnily enough, the other, I liked doing Carly's one because that was local to me.
Yeah.
In Lou, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like keeping with the graveyard theme was the one. I know you shouldn't. I don't know whether liking your own stuff is okay, but I did like doing the. I must have a bit of a weird side to me. The graves that are now above ground. The graveyard that above ground.
Right.
I think I'm a bit fascinated. Maybe it's because I fell in that grave when I was a kid, but maybe it's
Maybe.
maybe. But yeah, but everything was interesting. I don't think there was one video that wasn't interesting, and I think maybe what was different, what was different this year is we had more input from people, didn't we? I don't think we've ever done listeners' stories, have we, before?
I have, well, like Mad Meerkat. I've done his stories, stuff like that. But not in like the 31 Days of Halloween. I've interviewed Brian.
Yeah.
Diabolical Witness, but no, not really. Like a couple of times, but not like this.
We'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I think we should do it again. I think we should do it sometime in the spring, maybe, and because I enjoyed all of it. I really did. I started making a list in March of the topics that I wanted to do and look up, and I think that I'm really glad now that I did, because that definitely helped me to be able to create content when people around me were in hazmat suits. So, which by the way in itself was scary. So. I liked learning the history of haunted houses. I thought that was I never thought about it before. That's something you just take for granted for Halloween. There's haunted houses, but I never thought about like how that came about.
Just I got a new appreciation for the work that you do, because I found it not difficult is the wrong word. When someone does a story or writes a story that you're going to read out, I found that a little bit challenging to the point where, I mean, I must do this myself. You write down especially if you're not saying it out loud. It doesn't flow the same as when you're going to read something out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I found I had to do was rewrite.
Right.
Completely rewrite certain people's stories, so it made sense. So it was sort of
Right.
twice the work. So thinking that, oh well, you've got someone's story here, it's going to be half the work, because it ended up being twice the work. So I got a new
Right.
appreciation of the work that you do and how difficult things must be for you. So
Well,
yeah,
because people who aren't used to writing, they write the way that they're processing it as they go. The way their memory is and the way it
yeah,
happens in their brain, and it's sort of like a stream of consciousness. So when you go to read that, sometimes you have to change it in order to, and then also sometimes you can switch out between, like, then we went and then they went and then I did this and then she did that. To be all consistent, you are not talking, you are telling the story in first person, so if the story is being told in first person, so keep it in first person. And I don't know, I like that. So it doesn't bother me. I like it. I don't know. I should have been an editor, maybe. I don't know. It's just I like it.
Do you like editing the stories?
Yeah,
You do.
yeah, I do. Like there was a couple of stories that we did this last month that, well, one in particular that I couldn't get to load and worked on for like literally 12 hours, and it took forever to edit it, and because I think I have to go get the pictures. I tell whatever I'm talking about. I have to keep that. Then I have to go load another one, that version up. Then I have to get rid of the pictures, which is usually my TV, because I use my video camera to record on my iPad. So it's usually my TV or my feed or something. You take all of that out and then save that, go back up, reload it, have just the audio, and then go and listen to it. Sometimes I make mistakes and you'll say, hey, by the way, you said such and such more than one time. And a couple weeks ago, somebody told me you said something. Oh, I said, oh, so I'm sorry, I said this twice. And they said, I didn't even notice. I think it was Ian. But so I try to listen to every minute again. And so it's like it gets to be like I've heard the story, 10 times. And then I have to go find all the pictures that go with it and put them in the order and stretch them out. And I find it actually relaxing, because you have to be so focused and clear and listen, and it helps like my anxiety. Not 12 hours. That does not.
I can remember, this is how dedicated I am, that someone rang me at 2 o'clock in the morning from America to ask me, is it Edinburgh? or Edinburgh or Edinburgh? And I'm like, wow, what are you fucking talking about? Sorry,
that's what I said. It's Edinburgh. Edinburgh, not Edinburgh. And you were like, what? Hey, by the way, good morning. It's Edinburgh. And you were like, yeah, okay, bye.
I spoke to you later on that day and I said, did you ring me tonight?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't call you at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, and ask you that. But that's not the first time. I called you one time to ask you what the name of the river was.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I called you and I said, Rob, I cannot understand the name of this river. And you were like asleep, going, I don't, what river? Where? The river, that river, And you were like, So I did end up, I did end up figuring it out. But so sometimes those things trip me up a little bit.
Crazy.
That's okay. I do the same thing though when I do like a story about a missing person, and I'm not sure that that's how to say their last name. And I always say, like, I'm sorry, I'm ignorant to other languages, and I could be totally murdering this last name, which is absolutely possible. So, it's okay. It's nobody ever gets mad at me about that, which is nice. I really appreciate that. Because I'm sure I have murdered several names.
I think if I was going to choose a best video out of all of Halloween, all of November, all of October even, it would have to be the lesser known serial killers with Madison.
Oh, did you like that?
She's very good.
She did a great job. I was so proud of her. I was supposed to. Do you remember that the infamous video that we did? It was a podcast, and we did it on Twitch. So it was live for that. It was like 3 hours long, and it was about conspiracy theories. Yeah. And I ended up spending like an hour and a half on the Denver airport, which it ended up getting lost into the,
the ether.
Into the ether. Well, I still have things that I didn't talk about. I still have them in my notes. Conspiracy theories that we didn't talk about because we didn't have time, because the Denver airport alone was like a deep dive. Well, I was going to talk about lesser known serial killers in that podcast, but she had done so much homework and background on this guy above and beyond of what I had asked of her, that she just got to carry that whole podcast, and I thought she did great. She has a relatively newborn baby that she has at home that she needs to take care of too. So I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, you didn't get a word in.
No, I didn't. I didn't. Now, see, that's where it comes from. I passed that trait on. I was like, oh, I get it. I know how Rob feels now. I get it. I liked the the stories about the nurses who worked like the night shifts and stuff. I thought that was interesting because whenever I go to the hospital, which this was the 4th or 5th time this year, I always think, I wonder how many people have died there, and am I going to be one of them?
Oh.
It always goes through my mind. I once had the loveliest nurse. She was from South Africa, which was a lovely, calming accent. At 2:30 in the morning, sitting on my bed with me, telling me I wasn't going to die. That was last year. And thank God for nurses, because that was above and beyond. Nobody would have touched me this year. They would not have been sitting on my bed next to me. But I always think about that. So to hear the nurses' stories about the things they hear or their patients say they have happening. I love
See,
it.
I don't like hospitals at night, so they
Yeah, you
scare me at
don't.
night. I don't like hospitals at night.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But they don't bother you during the day.
if it's busy, they don't bother me too much. But I do find if I'm having to go down a corridor that there's no people, then it does bother me slightly. But
Right.
you know, um, but they don't bother you at night, do they?
I love it. I love it. It's calming to me. The IVs become green because of the lights on the machine. And I love it because I can hear the nurses out talking, and it makes me feel like I'm not alone. For somebody who's an introvert and wants to be alone, when you're in the hospital, it's a different situation. And my husband is there sleeping on the, you know, well, the couch that turns into a bed. He's there, but he's asleep, and I don't want to wake him up and be like, "Hey, I'm awake," because he gets woke up as often as I do with the nurses coming in and out. But so hearing the commotion outside, even though they're trying to be quiet, makes me feel comforted. Like I'm okay. I'm in a safe place.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was there any videos or any content that you did that you want to do a podcast on, that you want to go into more in depth? Because obviously I've got a couple that I want to do podcasts on. Just wondered if
Well,
you.
yeah, I would like to do some history of skinwalkers. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I'd like to do the history of that. I let's see. I wouldn't mind doing more hospital stories. I found that to be
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to do that as a podcast.
Yeah. I guess I just never think about what the things the nurses can tell you that they've seen. I liked going into where famous people are buried, and I have like a thousand of them probably.
Yeah.
And I think I thought that was interesting. We could do a podcast and tell people, because I like that it gives a little bit of a backstory about the people you're talking about, and then gives you the coordinates of how to get there. I thought that was interesting because a lot of those graves aren't really clearly marked because of their notoriety. So, you might live by there but not know how to get to it, or you might be traveling by there and, now you've heard where the directions are and how to get there to see this particular, grave or whatever. And I kind of like that aspect because it mixes the history with the, I don't know, creepy
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's other ones that, of course, I always love doing. Not love. This is not the correct word. It's always interesting to me to do the missing people.
Yeah.
That is just fascinating to me.
It seems to fascinate the listeners as well.
Yeah, they're really my most popular videos. People enjoy listening, and I don't know. I don't want to use the word enjoy. They're interested too, and I think it's because it's a common fear.
Yeah.
Well, we camping is something Americans do. Hiking, something we do. Something people in general do. It's just, the outdoor things, and to think that you could be outdoor even with a group of people, sit down because you sprained your ankle and never be seen again. Like nothing is hard to wrap your brain around.
Mm.
So I think that's part of the reason people listen to it, because it's so hard to comprehend. And I know I know that I won't be camping in a national park. And it's so funny because we were talking about Madison. Madison has a coworker who said that they were going to go camping in a national park in Arizona, and Madison said, "You better do some homework on that." So hi, my poor kid spent her honeymoon in a national park, and she was like, "Pray for me." Gonna have some therapy bills. So, what other ones would you like to do podcasts on?
I'd like to do podcast on the Cannock Chase one. And you said you would be interested in doing that.
Yeah, because there was something I found out about that when I was getting the pictures for you that we talked about. So
what
I'd like
that?
to add to that about a famous murder that happened there.
Yeah. It's for anyone who doesn't know, Cannock Chase is sort of the UK's national park, like the national parks we have in America, with all the spooky happenings going on. It's our place in the middle. It's near Birmingham in the Midlands. It's a large area, and all sorts of UFOs, hauntings, ghosts, all sorts of stuff goes on there. And black-eyed kids was one of the things as well that are seen there sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, and I also liked what was it? What I did the haunted airports. I think that would be interesting as well to do as a podcast because obviously it's a little bit like hospitals, isn't it? Very sterile sort of environment.
Right.
But at night, especially the smaller airports. I'm not talking about the big, because obviously you've got in America, all your airports are probably huge, but we've got a lot of smaller. Like we've got Newquay Airport here, and when I used to a place called Blackpool, which is by the coast up in the northwest, they've got a little airport there. And yeah, I think that would be interesting especially if there'd been plane crashes there.
I actually grew up right next door to a tiny little airport in which I took a ride. Somebody I worked for, he got his license as a pilot, took me and his son, who I was in a relationship with, took us on an airplane ride, and small airplanes, I don't know. Well, airplanes in general make me nervous, but small airplanes kind of make me even more nervous. And so they had turned the lights out in the tiny little airport, and we had to come in without lights or anything, knowing where we were. And there's forest all the way around because I told you I grew up in the forest. So there's huge pine trees all the way around, and it was well. Let's just say that when we finally stopped, my boss said, "Just remember, any landing you survive is a good landing." And I just thought, oh, I guess that's true, but I almost had a heart attack. So, yeah, we do have small airports. So, yeah, I bet they see weird things. Yeah, like you said, especially where there's been crashes.
Yeah.
And people die in airports. Things go on that you don't even know about. They die on their plane.
Yeah. I said that too enthusiastically then.
I know, right? I know. I was like, yeah, they die on the plane, which gives you a lot more room for your elbows. Oh, gosh. That was terrible. Anyway, yeah, I think that'd be a good one to do. I think so. You know what I think is fascinating is how the Lizzie Borden story, the story of Lizzie Borden, just never dies.
You've been dying to talk about Lizzie Borden, haven't you?
Yeah, it's so Brian from Diabolical Witness actually sent me in the email the story about Lizzie Borden's house being up for sale. So thank you for that, Brian. And I thought, oh, it couldn't be any better. But isn't it fascinating that this was a completely different house that, she lived in until she died with her sister. And it's beautiful because she was loaded. And it's up for sale. And it's just the story, the legend of Lizzie Borden just never dies because, her previous house had gone up for sale, and then you could take tours and stay in the bed and breakfast. And now the house she died in went up for sale, and it just continues to go on. It's got a life of its own, you might say, and that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's somewhere we'd like to visit, isn't it?
That's where we're gonna go. Yeah, we are. Let's buy that house. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
I'll pitch in $1.50. all my earnings from my YouTube channel. That ought to do it. $1.75.
I'm trying to think of any more that I did. Oh, my friend Nigel.
Yes.
His haunted not dollhouse, his haunted playhouse. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, with a little boy and the angel's wings and the weird lights. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
I liked all three stories that were sent to me. It was really interesting reading some. It's really interesting reading someone else's story and their writing, which could be completely different from my writing, but still like really enjoyable. And also I got Joy's writings as well, so it's really interesting to me to hear a story that it didn't come out of my own brain, and I enjoy that. I thought everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
I would like to continue that part.
Mm. Well, there's no reason we just have to do it at Halloween, is there? We can do it all the time.
No, there's not. Yeah, I think that'd be fun to do a couple times a year.
Mm.
I like doing the history of the symbol. I just really enjoyed the whole month. I like doing the history of the symbols of Halloween. Like why there's black cats and
yeah.
I liked our podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, it was sort of hard this year because obviously you were poorly, and I think we just do somewhat, so as far as the podcast was concerned, we were getting them in when we could, weren't we, to some degree?
Yeah. There was no schedule.
Yeah, we just get them in when we can get them done, and
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad we have found a lot of stuff that we can sort of carry on and do a podcast on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. And I've been doing this channel for, it'll be 5 years in March. Yeah. And when I started it, I thought, is there going to be enough stuff to talk about? And that's funny because I have over 1,000 videos, and there's always something new to talk about. Always something to talk about. And I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it when we come up with a podcast idea and go, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that'd be fun. Maybe not monsters versus superheroes. Maybe not that one again.
No, that was a bit of a disaster.
That was my first video ever, I think. I even unsubscribed. I don't want to know when this shite comes on.
We still put it out though.
We sure as hell did. I'm not above putting shite out. I would prefer not to, but we admitted it. We totally was like, this was shite. So, Rob, you did not know. Now, because YouTube screwed up the last several days of my channel, I made a mistake, like I said, and released a video at the wrong time. And although I thought it was me, I don't remember making the mistake, but I thought it was me because it must have been. But then it kept happening again at the end of it. So whatever it was, there was a mistake. And because I can't go 31 days and be perfect, it's just not feasible. Ask anybody who knows me. So, the last 4 days were like a kind of a struggle. Oddly enough, yours and Jory's went out totally fine the last 2 days. They did themselves like they were supposed to, totally fine. But what ended up being like 26 days of Halloween had in common was, and I told you guys, you had to be very, very sleuthy and pay attention. Uh-oh, what was that?
What?
Not sound like you were electrocuting me.
No, not today.
Right. It's only Monday. So I told you guys to be very sleuthy, pay attention to the smallest details, and every single video was released. 26 videos were released at 3:33 p.m. the witching hour every day. 3:33. That's when I would release my videos. And I did the same thing last year, but I did it at 3:33 a.m. and the audience isn't as big. Obviously at 3:30 in the morning, I got all of the UK up and watching at that time. But so I changed it to PM this year to do the witching hour, 3:33 p.m. Nobody guessed it, which I was really hoping really bad that somebody would be like, "Oh, they're coming on the same time every day. Let me go look through and see what the times are." But Rob said to me, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to figure it out.
Well, yeah, because people don't necessarily listen all at the same time. They could be at work. They could think, "Oh, I'll listen to that later when I get home from work," or "I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'll do it later." Or
right. I was kind of hoping that because they would start getting their notifications at 3:33 every day, and maybe put that together with it. But it was my little Easter egg contribution to, Win the Dead. There's my watch. We almost made it through a whole podcast without her yapping. This is the only magic apple. Anyway, But anyway, obviously that didn't happen, and so maybe next year I'll do something a little more obvious so that they can figure it out. But I do have a winner for the Amazon gift card. So do you want to want blah blah blah? Do you want to know this?
I certainly do. Is it me?
It's me. Congratulations to me. Actually, the winner is Lori Henry. I did notify her through a message. So, Lori, if you are listening to this, you are the winner of the Amazon gift card.
Congratulations.
And yes, thank you. She was consistently leaving encouraging messages and anyway, it just came up that she ended up winning, and so congratulations, I'm happy for you. And so what I'm going to need from you, Lori, is either your email address or your phone number. Do not worry, I'm not a stalker in November, so I'm not going to come to your house, write you emails, or call you and hang up the phone. I won't do that. But to send you the email, the gift card digitally, Amazon needs that information, and then I won't store it or anything because I don't. I try. I just have been told I can't stalk anymore. So feel free, be safe. Rob can tell you I'm a real human being and I'm not a weirdo. And then I'll get that money to you, and you can spend it on. This is what I always tell my kids when I give them money. Spend it on something you want, not something you need. So if there's something out there that you've been like, I want to get this, but I have buyer's remorse before I even pay for anything. I never like spending money on myself. Rob's the same way. So get some free money and treat yourself, or whatever. But don't you think it's fun to get, like, if you get free money to go, well, if you need the money, I understand, like, well, I gotta pay a bill or buy shoes, whatever. But I enjoy getting free money on a gift card so I can go, I don't have to feel guilty spending this money.
Yeah.
I love that. And in fact, it was just recently, Madison's birthday is coming up here in a few days. And that's what she asked for, was a gift card to this place. And so that she doesn't have to feel guilty spending the money, which I just, like, she got that from me. So enjoy, and thank you for participating.
Yeah, thank you.
So is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Rob? Besides you wanting me to put my nurse on a speakerphone?
I think we've covered everything about. I mean, I am looking forward to, even though Halloween's over now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the videos that we can do now, the podcasts we can do now, because of what we did during the 31 days of Halloween. Halloween. Making words up again.
Yeah. Gave us a lot of ideas to work off of. Yeah, I like that too. I already have ideas swirling around my brain. So I'm going to take a few days off. I hope you guys don't mind. I would like to take like a week off. Take some time to just,
recharge your batteries.
Recharge my batteries. And recharge my brain and get back on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I think you've
Well,
worked very, very hard, and you deserve a break.
thank you. I enjoy it. I really love this. It's really important to me. So I don't have a huge channel. I'm a small fish in a big pond, big sea, I guess. But I really have like a really great little community, and they're supportive, and I just enjoy it. So it's all worth it.
Yeah. And just thank you, like Tracy said at the beginning, thank you all for listening and taking part.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, you guys. Was there anything else on the list of things that we were going to talk about that I was going to mention?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember anything.
Okay. Then I'll guess I will say good night / good morning.
And I will say good night / good morning.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.